Max, there's one thing left to do today, and that is the Power Poll, also known as
the Toilet Bowl.
Just awful. We rank the 12 FBS teams in the Lone Star State. There's basically only one team I feel good about, and spoiler alert, they're ranked number 1 and they're Houston. So let's go from 12 to 1. There is some movement, though, because number 12, they're out of the cellar now, but back in the cellar, the UTEP Miners. Holy cow.
They got run, man. It was unbelievable.
Rice is a legitimately terrible football team. An actually terrible football team. Yeah. And they ran UTEP out of the building. This is incredible. I can't believe this.
Yeah.
I cannot believe how bad.
It was bad. How
bad UTEP looked in this game. They could not get anything going off in the running game. They just basically abandoned it when they got down. They got down early. They were down. They ended up being down 34-3 at half, and they just abandoned the running game. So they made Ryan Metz throw the ball, and that's fine. But that's not what they're built to do. Aaron Jones only carried the ball 14 times.
Yes.
The defense was horrific. The defense gave up 482 yards to Rice. I mean, this was a complete collapse from Sean Kugler.
And domination.
And I will tell you, we mentioned this last week. I will tell you that we're talking about Charlie Strong being on the hot seat. Boy, Sean Kugler has got to be feeling the heat right now too.
It's not great.
They're 3-8, and their last game of the year is who? I have this written down somewhere. Is North Texas, who's playing for a bowl game. Right now, if we were to pick, North Texas finishing or UTEP's finishing 3-9.
Yeah,
and that would mean another step back.
Yep,
and. I don't know. I'm starting to think that UTEP may be open at the end of the year. It's bad stuff. Number 11, Texas State. Holy crap. You go from bad to worse. Yeah. So the bad was they were driving out to Las Cruces, and apparently there was a bus accident. Serious enough that it sent 6 people to the hospital. The good news is it sounds like everybody's going to be okay. It's largely precautionary, a couple of minor scrapes and bruises. But that should have been a forewarning of what was to come. Because Texas State went and absolutely laid an egg against New Mexico State. Yeah. New Mexico State's not a good team, okay? New Mexico State was 2-7 coming into this game. They both have the same record coming into this game. But instead, they got absolutely just mollywopped all over the field. They turned the ball over 5 times. Tyler Jones throws 3 interceptions, ends up getting pulled. And that was, I wrote about this. I think all year we have kind of talked about Tyler Jones as being a good player on a bad team. I will say that I think that we need to be a little bit more critical of him.
Sure.
Because he was really bad in this game.
Yeah.
He was really bad, and he's kind of been bad all year.
Yeah.
And we knew that the defense was undermanned, but to give up nearly 500 yards of total offense to New Mexico State is very bad. Larry Rose, our boy, goes for 123.
Yeah, man.
And the frustrating thing is that I actually ran the ball relatively well.
Yeah.
They ran the ball for 153 yards, but the problem is that they got nothing out of the passing game, and then they were down 28-0 at the end of the first quarter, and they were just chasing the whole game. So, just really disappointing. Texas State, number 11 in our power poll. Number 10, the suddenly surging Rice Owls.
I mean, just like we all predicted.
Just, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, this was the game that we all had circled. We said, oh, yeah, Rice is going to turn it around. And, yeah, of course, they're going to start, they're going to start, 0-6, was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're going to start 0-6. But then they're going to rattle off 3 of their next 5.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just incredible. And give a ton of credit to Jackson Tyner.
Yeah.
Who comes in, the pride of Edgewood. He comes in, and he threw for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. He managed the game, and the defense really
had a nice day.
Defense had a really nice day.
Takeaways, all of it. Yeah.
It was a really, really nice day for Rice, and, I think that's what playing with pride will do.
Yeah.
They're playing with a little bit of pride, a little bit of chip on their shoulder, and they're playing well. So, great win for Rice. They are up from number 12 to number 10. They're the highest riser in the power poll. How about that? Number 9, UTSA. This is a weird game to call because, on one hand, we never thought they were going to win this game. Yeah. And they never looked like they were actually going to challenge to win this game.
Yeah.
But I thought they played pretty well. I thought their defense played one of its best games of the year, even though they gave up 431 yards. I thought they played very good bend, don't break defense. And I thought they get Jared Johnson coming in at the backup quarterback, and he ends up playing pretty well. Yeah. They run the ball with Jarvion Williams pretty well, 52 yards against a menacing front seven from A&M. I think you got one of the silliest catches you may ever see from Josh Stewart. He had that one-handed grab, which was incredible, that gave him their lone touchdown of the game. Look, you're a middle of the road Conference USA team, and you're going to an SEC team, a ranked SEC team. Losing 23-10 ain't bad.
No.
Ain't bad. I think there's a lot of positives to draw from that. Everything they won is still ahead of them. They still get Charlotte this week. They win that game. They're bowl eligible. Yeah. So, to me, this is just a kick the can down the road. In fact, I would say there's more positives than negatives come out of this game. Number 8, the North Texas Mean Green. Do you believe in the Mean Green?
I mean,
a 29-23 win. And honestly, they jump out to a 20-0 lead on Southern Miss, and I go, oh my gosh, they're going to do it. Yeah. And the next time I looked at it, it was like tied. I'm like, oh no, God, no, don't do this. Don't do this. Yeah. But they end up pulling out the win. They get it started off really well for them. They end up getting they end up getting a big play from Keon Howard. He gets the interception that ends up. I'm missing something. Oh, they get the go ahead touchdown from when Alec Morris when Willie Ivory. Man, I'm all lost. Yeah. Willie Ivory runs for a touchdown to put them ahead 27-23, and then they end up going and getting a safety. The next 3 possessions for Southern Miss, when it's crunch time and you have a lead and you're chasing bowl eligibility, the defense came up huge. Interception, safety, interception. Yeah. That is putting the foot down.
Yeah. Like
That's
I said,
awesome.
We've talked, especially in the last few weeks, about how obviously Seth Luttrell has done great things in North Texas, but no one expected the defense to be as good as it's been, and it has been clutch.
They get an interception. They get an interception from Kiari Muhammad on that first one, and then as Southern Miss is driving for the win with under 2 minutes to play, Nate Brooks comes up with the interception and ends up getting the big win. Congratulations to them. One more game out in El Paso. Go on the road, beat a team you should beat, and you're bowl eligible, which would be really, really impressive for the first year of Seth Luttrell. Number 7, the SMU Mustangs. They had, I feel like...
I mean, look, we knew in the last 2 games, South Florida Navy, they're going to have to upset someone.
They are.
Teams that are much better than them record-wise, and they were in the fourth quarter, a touchdown away from tying it, and just couldn't do it.
It just felt this feels like, and especially when you give up, I'll tell you, they give up a touchdown the first play from scrimmage.
Yeah.
They give up a 77-yard touchdown pass on the first play from scrimmage. Yeah. And I remember thinking, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long day. Well, they come right back, and Ben Hicks comes back and throws a touchdown pass. And they were in a position to win this game. They had the ball with 3 minutes they had the ball with 3 minutes left on their own 32, a touchdown away from, a touchdown and 2-point conversion away. Yeah. And they end up going and they go for it on 4th and 1 on the 14 of South Florida, end up getting stuffed.
And really, it was the third down that got him. Chad Morris was furious about it after the game because they did a hurry up to the line of scrimmage to try and bust through for 1 yard on 3rd down and got stuffed. And he didn't feel like they ran it with enough urgency or enough power. And that's really what set them up for that big 4th and 1 that just didn't happen.
Just really disappointing. But look, I mean, you get 2 cracks at this. And now you play Navy, and this will be as steep of a climb as Southern Miss.
For sure.
It's a little disappointing. I feel like they let one go here.
Look, they've let 3 go basically this year that I'm sure they're not happy about. And the thing that I'm watching now is the tools are all there for Hicks, right? He has looked great in flashes. The biggest question next year, whether he's the starter or not, is the interceptions, man.
Mm-hmm. He threw 2 more.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to dial those back.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that changes.
So they come in at number 7 on the power poll. Number 6, the Baylor Bears. This team quit.
Sure.
And it was they quit in ways big and small. There were the big things, like that one of their wide receivers quits on a route and ends up going for an interception in the end zone. And that was just a very obvious one. That Zach Smith needs some help.
Right.
And I can't remember which receiver it was.
And honestly, I feel like he's played pretty admirably for a true freshman.
I have nothing bad to say about Zach Smith. He looks like a freshman. He threw 3 touchdowns and 3 picks. He looks like a freshman should look. I think it was Chris Platt. Chris Platt quits on a route and ends up getting intercepted. That's an interception that is not on Zach Smith. He put it where it needed to be, but Chris Platt quit on it.
Yeah.
The other part of it was that Kansas State just absolutely throttled them up front.
Yep.
And there was not a ton of effort. This looked like a team that was tapping out. And now, at this point, it's remarkable to say about a team that was once 6-0. It would take an upset for Baylor not to finish 6-6.
Yep.
Just I don't know. I think everybody in Waco wants this season to go away.
Yeah.
And they're going to get their wish in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Number 5, Texas Tech.
The coach, happiest that there's terrible things going on everywhere else.
How remarkable is it that you can get beat by 56 by Iowa State and
close to
you're
the top
the
story.
4th headline in this state?
Yeah.
Like Houston beating Louisville is probably the top headline.
Yeah.
Texas about to fire Charlie Strong is the second headline.
Yeah.
Baylor quitting, maybe the 3rd headline, and then this?
Yeah.
Like, this was a complete dumpster fire.
It was unbelievable.
I mean, Iowa State is not a good team.
Yeah. I will say this. Correct. Iowa State is they figured out what they can do. Mm-hmm. They are a much better team now than they were 5-6 weeks ago. But this is a team that Texas Tech should beat every time they play. And it's just resources, players, everything.
Iowa State rang up 600 yards total offense.
Man, it was unbelievable. They killed it. But it's not the offense.
No.
Right? Tech's never played defense.
No.
It's that Tech did nothing on offense.
No.
Now,
I think Pat Mahomes is hurt.
I think Pat Mahomes is hurt. He was pulled out at one point because it looked like he might have done something to his left shoulder. Shimonette came in and was not remotely as effective as he was earlier this year when he played against Kansas State, right? Mm-hmm. I think. And, if you want to throw this in, it was 20 degrees. And Tech definitely looked uncomfortable in 20 degrees.
So I'm looking through this. Iowa State has not had a 600-yard game since November 22nd, 2008. They got 626 yards against Kansas State. Wow. That's the last time they rang up 600 yards total offense.
That was the end of the Ron Prince era.
That was the end of the Ron Prince era.
Yeah.
This is, look, Cliff Kingsbury is not bulletproof in Lubbock. He's not. And
he opened his press conference today by basically admitting that there was no silver lining. They looked at the film. They had no excuses. It only went from bad to worse. Mm-hmm. And he's got to reevaluate how they're going to handle this because it was embarrassing.
He's running out of time. I think he's going to get next year.
He'll get next year.
Because they don't want to buy him out.
He talked about in the press conference as well maybe pulling himself back into more of a CEO kind of role.
Instead of calling plays.
Being as involved in the offense as he is. I don't know if that's the answer because honestly, it feels like that's all they got at this point is the offense. But
something's got to change.
Something's got to change. I get it.
Texas Tech's number 5 in our power poll. Number 4, Texas. We talked a lot about it in an earlier segment. This team just isn't very good, and Shane Buechele looked like a freshman, and they lose to the worst team in the Big 12.
Yeah. Also, lost in all of this, by the way. Did you watch when he got hurt?
Buechele?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing him back on and calling it a neck strain, we all know what that was.
Yeah.
That was not a neck strain.
That was not a neck strain. That was a concussion.
That's kind of getting lost in this. I don't think it should because that's one thing that I'd have to slate Charlie Strong for and his staff for bringing Buechele out after clearly what was not a neck strain.
No, it's not a neck strain. But it's just, look, this team's going to this now goes to a motivational factor is like how does this team feel about playing TCU? We'll figure it out.
Number 5 TCU.
Yeah, number 3.
Our number 3 team.
Number 3 TCU. The fact that TCU is third in this rankings
after that performance as well
speaks not to TCU but to the rest of the state.
Yeah, not great.
Because TCU looked horrifying against Oklahoma State.
Yep.
Now, I want to be clear about this. I think Oklahoma State's actually a pretty good team. I know that that's not a popular opinion. I think they're actually a pretty good team.
The way that Big 12 shaped up over the year and the way they've gotten better, they are a good team.
I cannot remember when the I cannot remember a time when the defensive line for TCU got manhandled like they did against Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
They end up running for 334 yards.
Yeah.
334 yards. This is not a running team.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State's not a running team.
Yeah.
They entered this, or they now, after that game, they are now 77th in rank in rushing per game.
It's crazy, Gary Patterson team.
It was remarkable. And can we officially call the Kenny Hill experiment failed?
Yeah, but the question, I don't know, what do you do next year? I don't have any idea what they're going to do.
I think you go to Foster Sawyer, or you go to anybody. But you've got to have another quarterback back there, because I just don't think Kenny Hill's the answer.
I don't know if there's another plan.
And
so it'll be interesting to see.
They couldn't run the ball. Kyle Hicks only goes for 47 yards. Give a lot of credit again to the Oklahoma State defense, which I think played really well. But overall, it's just a crappy game for TCU. Number 2, Texas A&M. It's a win, and in a state landscape that looks like this, you can't take that for granted.
Nope. They won.
I thought that they were sloppy.
Sure.
I thought that they were pretty offensively challenged. The defense I thought played pretty well, but overall, it's a win's a win for A&M. Yep. And the bigger test is Thursday. The bigger test is Thursday night on a short week turnaround. There are rumblings that Trevor Knight might play. I don't buy it.
Someone just said and Mazzoni too in the press conference, look, he's been for 3 weeks now. He's been telling us he's ready to go.
Oh, okay.
And just because you think something's a good idea doesn't mean it is.
Okay. So he won't play. So it'll end up being Jake Hubenak, who was fine. I mean, this offense is clearly not as explosive without Trevor Knight.
I mean, get ready for a game that might be like 7-3.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
That's the way both of these teams are playing right now.
Yeah, that's how they want it to be, and honestly, that may be in A&M's best interest at this point.
Well,
we'll see if Leonard Fournette plays.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
If Fournette plays, then obviously things get really different. But we'll go from there. And number 1,
Coogs, man.
Runaway number 1.
Yeah.
This is a
gulf.
This is a blowout.
Yeah.
The Houston Cougars, who we talked about it on Friday. That win over Louisville is so incredible. The defense, Stephen Taylor, their linebacker, ends up being the Walter Camp National Player of the week defensively. I mean, the defense was smothering. I can't get over the fact that they sacked Lamar Jackson 11 times. Yeah. That's awesome. That's incredible. The offense did well. The offense, I think, got a kick in the butt. And it, once again, not to continue to repeat myself, but it just speaks to the fact that for a big game, Tom Herman gets his boys ready.
Yep.
It's the other games that end up not being, as consistently good as that. So, a remarkable win for Houston. They're the best team in the state by a considerable margin. So, the power poll this week, number 12, UTEP, number 11, Texas State, number 10, Rice, number 9, UTSA, number 8, North Texas, number 7, SMU, number 6, Baylor, number 5, Texas Tech, number 4, Texas, number 3, TCU, number 2, Texas A&M, and number 1, Houston.